So this review is Learn Check 1, Parallelograms. And so this is question number 5. And question number 5 says, in the parallelogram pictured, what is the length of side DA? So we want to know this length. Now what we should know is this length is the same as this length. So if we knew BC, we would know DA. I also know that this side length is the same as this side length because opposite sides are congruent. So I'm going to use DC and AB to solve for x, and then I can plug x back in this side. So because DC and AB are congruent, they're equal to each other, they're the same length, I can actually set them equal and solve for x. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides because I want my variables on the same side. The reason we subtract is because 2 minus 2 is 0, so that will cancel out. 5 minus 2 is 3, and we still have a 12 left. Now since my variables moved to the left side of my equation, my numbers are going to move to the opposite side, to the right. Negative 18 plus 18 is 0, so they cancel out, and I have 3x is equal to 30, and then just divide by 3 to get x alone. So we know that x is equal to 10. Now, that is an answer on here, but that is not your answer because you need to plug this in to this side, because if you know this side, you will know this side. So we have 3x minus 6, but we know that x is 10, so 3 times 10 minus 6. 30 minus 6 is 24. So since CB is 24, that would mean that DA is 24, and B is your answer. Alright, number 6. Number 6 says, in the rectangle ABCD, segment AR, so this one right here, has a length of 3x plus 2, and segment RC has a length of 4x minus 4. And wants you just to find x. So this one's easier. We don't have to plug anything back in. We just need to solve for x. Remember, anytime you're given a shape, always label what they tell you to label. So they say what RC is. They say what AR is. So we want to label that. Now, what you should know is that diagonals bisect each other, meaning they divide each other in half. This side and this side are congruent. Congruent is another word for equal. So since they're equal, we can set them equal to each other and just solve. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Those cancel out. 3 minus 3 is 0. Drop down your 2. 4 minus 3 is 1 minus 4. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And I get 6, because 2 plus 4 is 6, is equal to 1x. Now you can divide by 1, but most of you know that anything divided by 1 is just itself. So our answer here is 6, and the correct answer was A. Alright, number 7 didn't have any algebra that you had to do. You just had to use common sense. So the diagonals of a rhombus. Now a rhombus is just a slanted square if you didn't know. But you know we're talking about a four-sided shape, and we're talking about types of parallelograms. So we have a rhombus. The diagonals are always perpendicular. Perpendicular means intersects at 90 degrees. The square is a rhombus whose angles at its vertices are all equal angular. So the square has 90-degree angles in the corners, but a square, it says, is a rhombus. And that's really important here. A square is a rhombus. And you didn't need to know that. We told you that right here. Which statement must be true? The diagonals of a square must be perpendicular. The angles at the vertices of a rhombus must be equal angular. A rhombus is always a square, or any quadrilateral with equal angular vertices is a rhombus. So guys, again, a square is a rhombus. This is the key phrase. Because if a square is a rhombus, a square has the properties of a rhombus. Since the rhombus has perpendicular diagonals. A square also has perpendicular diagonals. The answer there was A. All right, last parallelogram question. In the parallelogram pictured, what is the measure of angle D? So D and B are going to be the same because opposite angles are congruent. Now, B and C are not opposite. They're adjacent. But what you need to know is that adjacent angles, they add up to 180 degrees. And then I can just find B because B and D are the same. So I know that 4x plus 12 plus 3x plus 14 is equal to 180. I'm going to combine my like terms. Now you don't have to add or subtract them because they're on the same side of the equal sign. So 4 plus 3 is 7, so I have 7x. 12 plus 14 is 26. So again, don't add or subtract. They're not on different sides of the equal sign. They're on the same side. Subtract 26 from both sides. So I have 7x is equal to 154. And then we're going to divide by 7. And I get that x is 22. Now hopefully on your responses you didn't stop there because it doesn't say what is x. It says what is the measure of angle D. So again, D and B, these are the same angle. So I'm going to take B, the 4x plus 12, plug in my x, so 4 times 22 plus 12, and get the measurement of B. Once I know B, I know A, or excuse me, D. B and D are the same. So when I simplify that, I get that B is 100 degrees. So if B is 100 degrees, D is also 100 degrees, and that is your answer.